preparing the milk for the aliens. I want them to have strong body. I want them to have strong bones.
Before we established this place, people couldn't imagine someone feeding an elephant.
Hosting elephants is something challenging, but elephants are someone can call a friend.
As a community, we were losing many elephants. We had to act quickly.
We've lived with elephants for centuries, but it wasn't an easy relationship. They can be dangerous and might kill us if we meet them unexpectedly. Over the past 25 years, we lost many elephants because of poaching and an ongoing drought. Without the elephants, we were all suffering. Our ecosystem was dying. We began to understand that elephants are the heart of this land and nature's greatest engineers. They guide us to water and bulldoze small trees, keeping the land open and grassy. For us to thrive, the elephants too must thrive. Something had to change.
Hotel 1, this is Romeo 1, how do you read it?
1, count out, 3. Hello?
To protect these elephants, it was our dream to create a sanctuary for those that became orphaned. At Reteti, we bring injured and sick elephants back to health. We nurture them until they are ready to return to the wild.
Just shows don't give up with the bottle. If we give up, she'll give up.
They need somebody who loves and who cares, not somebody who can be discouraged.
To think of them going to the world after they accept us and we are now friends, it is very painful to see them going. I will live to appreciate them for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'm feeding Lemurujo and Adosage. Sweet babies.
With each elephant comes an unforgettable bond, marking the beginning of a transformation. We are taking care of the elephants, and the elephants are taking care of us. We now see that when we coexist with the wild animals we once feared, our whole community benefits. We are all deeply connected to one another and to this earth.
My name is Dorothy Longapto. I work as guest relation. We are here at the Reteti Elephant Sanctuary. We have 21 elephants, and also we have other species. We have a baby giraffe who just survived recently. We also have a lesser kudu. We have a grand gazelle. We have a yellow, and we have a greater kudu. Elephants came with different reasons, and most of them being contributed by drought. We have some who are here because of separation, others due to abandon, others because of human-wildlife conflict, and others are here because of falling in the way. We rescue elephants from northern Ethiopia because we will release this animal back to the wild at a certain age, and we hope they will have chances of meeting their original family. So that was the idea. We rescued elephants from northern Equator so that they will join their families later. But so far we have been rescued babies less than a year. The biggest one we have ever received was 1 year old. Once we receive a call from the local community or from the rangers who normally do patrol, we have to go with our team as a rescue team. We make sure we stay there for a window of 72 hours, try to reunite a baby. And maybe a baby has fallen in the well, and we have now to make sure we are getting that baby out of the well without being harmed. And once the baby is out, we mark for the smell of human to disappear. We keep away at least 2 kilometers away from us. We have, if you can see her mom, if you can hear any elephants around, especially the family. If we hear one, then we are good to leave that baby with the family if the family are here. And then later, if not, in a window of 72 hours, we have to bring them here for rehabilitation part. We have to give them some, we put them in the quarantine after now they arrive at the at least for checkup. We need to give them some antibiotics. We also need to make sure there is no any infection they can bring to these other orphans around. They can stay until they are 3 years, but some can be above 3 years because they are not of the same age when they arrive. We just have to estimate the age because we don't know the exact age. And some can be above like 6 months and others are like 4 months. So those babies can be released at the same time. So that can vary the ages, but they have to be 3 years. Now we think of releasing them back to the
So I was just saying hello, and just wanted to give you a quick background on what we just saw. Those are the questions from Mr. Michael Rosenblum's 4th grade class in New Jersey that was just sent in to a sanctuary in Kenya. And Lydia here, that you see here, is going to tell us a little more about the making of the video, or just to give us a little background. But just to let you know, so that's what it was the questions from the class that were just answered. And they're watching us right now. So hi, 4th grade class. There you go, Lydia.
So yeah, unfortunately it's nighttime in Kenya. So the sanctuary is very quiet and dark. So you have me instead representing. But yeah, the key thing about the Rutesi Elephant Sanctuary is that it's community owned and run and grew out of this idea that the community had, that they wanted these elephants to remain in northern Kenya, in the home where they belong. So far 10 elephants have been released back into the wild and are now living fully wild lives. And as you saw in the video, they have 22 orphans currently at the sanctuary, as well as, I think last week, it may have been the week before, a new arrival with their first giraffe. So there are a few other species there, but it's mainly an elephant sanctuary. And yeah, so I'm hopefully we'll be able to answer any questions that you have.
So I think most of the questions that were sent were answered in the video, but here's another one from the class. They're 3rd and 4th graders in New Jersey, actually. They were wondering what happened to the elephants that they had to be rescued. That's one. And the other is, do the elephants at the sanctuary get along with each other? Will they form their own family group? And I would like to add, can you please comment about Longura Juan.
Oh, yes, of course. So to answer the first question, they arrive for various different reasons. As she said in the video, a lot of it instigated by drought. Sometimes they're found just simply abandoned and there's no known reason. But often it's either human-wildlife conflict, the mother being poached, and also another reason is because of falling into wells. When there's a drought, people dig holes in the ground to access water and the elephants fall in and aren't able to get out. And then eventually the family has to move on and leave them. So that's actually the story of Longoro. If any of you follow Ritati on Instagram, he's a little bit of a celebrity there. People are always commenting and asking questions about him. So he has half a trunk. He was also in the video, I don't know if you noticed, in the Q&A section. And the reason is because he fell into a well, and while he was stuck in the well, a hyena came and bit off his trunk, unfortunately. So he went through quite a trauma and arrived at the sanctuary and, was touch and go in the first few days, but he's an amazing survivor and inspiration, and everyone loves him. And he just sort of day by day got better and better. And now, as you can see from the videos, or if you follow us on social media, he's rolling around in the dust and living a happy elephant life. So did that answer all? I think there was another question that
I don't know which one you missed. Do they get along?
Oh yeah, so they do. There's like an introduction period. She mentioned there's a time frame where they're in quarantine to make sure they aren't arriving with any illnesses. Often they are because of the circumstances of why they were abandoned. And then, they are introduced. Sometimes there's two sort of herds. There's the younger nursery herd, and then there's the older sort of teenager types. And so they do interact throughout the day, but the older herd goes out and does most of their day browsing together. And the younger herd stays a little closer to the sanctuary. So they have sort of separate routines, but they do all interact. And and they do go out when they are released into the wild. This was also confusing when she was explaining the age. It's not really an age where they are released into the wild. It's really when the individuals are ready. And then also when they have a good group to go with. So like she was saying, they don't arrive at the same time or the same age. So we wait until they have a good group of 3 or 4 to then go out and form their own herd in the wild. And obviously the goal is that they live fully natural wild lives, which includes interacting with wild elephants and hopefully one day having their own babies and families.
One more thing, Lydia. In a random conversation with you, you mentioned one day that there's also the part that people don't see is when once elephants are rescued, returning them back to their families is kind of an ordeal that we don't really hear about. So if you could give us a quick overview of that.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we obviously, if you follow Ritati, you know all the orphans that actually were brought back to the sanctuary, but they've actually managed to return quite a few. I think it's about 12, didn't actually have to come back to the sanctuary because we were able to find their families and reunite them. It is difficult to do that, because they move on, they cover huge distances. And so actually finding and reuniting them with the family after a certain period of time is difficult. But then there's actually, what I was talking to you about was the fact that once you do find the family, if you then have to reunite them, and that can often be a bit worrying for all the people involved because the family has just been through this emotion of losing their baby, and then when they are reunited, they think that you are responsible, the humans. So it can be a difficult thing to actually reunite the baby with their family. It's sort of a drop them and run because the family thinks that you're involved in their disappearance. So they're not happy about you. So, but it is part of the success story of Ritati is not just the success of raising these orphans and introducing them back into the wild, but the stories that we don't hear about, which is the ones that don't need to end up at the sanctuary and that are reunited with their families before they have to come to Ritati.
Thank you, Lydia. I think we're almost done, but I know Ian's still on here, and Ian is an elephant expert. If you want to jump in and say something, if you want to, Ian.
Thank you, Lydia, for summarising the situation with those elephants. This chap is a forest elephant, a different species now, as of last week recognised by the African Elephant Specialist Group as being a separate species, which is an important distinction. However, what you're doing is extraordinary, and what you'll be learning about in the next session, which is starting in a few minutes, is that the carbon attributable to one forest elephant that is sequestered and stored in the Congo Basin rainforests has been valued by our next guest, Ralph Shami, as worth $1.75 million. And we haven't yet done those calculations for savanna elephants. We are pretty sure that they, just by being elephants in their natural habitat, will have a role that improves the storage of soil carbon, in particular in the savanna elephants. And once we've worked that out, then it will put a different feel on what you're doing. You're putting elephants back into the wild. Ah, that's nice, people will say. Elephants that have lost their family or been separated from their family, of course they should go back to their clan, even if their mother has been killed, and grow up as elephants. But when we start to value the work they do just by being elephants in that ecosystem, and traditionally economists have regarded all that as an externality, nothing to do with human economic thinking. But as we'll learn in the next session, it's a bit of a plug for the next session, what elephants do just by being elephants, eating and pooping. Remember that each adult elephant produces something like 1 metric ton of first-class organic manure every week. 52 tons a year. You've got 100 elephants, that's a lot of dung going into the soils of their habitat, and that enriches the soils and improves the capacity of that habitat to do things like photosynthesize and store carbon. That has never been valued before. People have only looked at the things on their sticking out their face, their front teeth, and said, oh, that's nice, I could carve something out of that. Or the meat, oh, we're hungry, that's protein, we've got to kill an elephant to get meat. But no one has thought, actually, what they're doing by being elephants is maintaining an ecosystem that provides benefits to everyone locally and globally. And that's the topic for the next conversation. So I think, even though people think Sanctuaries are all about, save the nice baby elephant, they have a bigger role in our new relationship with nature that this year we have to agree on as a global community. And that as this is the first year of ecosystem restoration, what you're doing is not just rescuing elephants, but restoring them to their ecosystem so that they can live for the next 60 odd years, providing services to all of us. Wonderful.
Yes, thank you so much. And I think this is also was supposed to be a break for people to go get coffee or wine or dinner wherever you are. But obviously, when you start talking about elephants, I know for myself, I can't stop. So no. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Adey.
All right.
Okay,
bye.
see you in a few minutes.